A friend of mine was recently hired to work on racial justice issues in hospitals. These issues are not limited to position bias. In fact, no matter how good our individual or even group intentions are, sometimes we might perpetuate a biased system. One of my goals when I built cleanX was to make code in a library that could ease the examination of such issues. If medical imaging AI is not carefully built on carefully curated data sets, it can in fact perpetuate biases. So let's look at this in a notebook example. Here I import cleanX off my own system, and then I import some libraries, including a couple modules from cleanX, image work and dataset processing. And then I import a sort of augmented data set I made. I made a data set about a hypothetical future of Martian life. In this hypothetical future, people on Mars get X-rays and they have some kind of race. So I read the head of my data set, which is quite long. In fact, I can check it now by doing this. Oh, geez, why are people always calling me? 5,900 something images, and then I can look at whether my Martians are of a certain race. Looks like there's some white Martians, black Martians, white Martians. Where are the Latino Martians? I don't know. Well, there's 5,000 something lines, so I'm not going to sit here and count. Instead, I'm going to use a function from cleanX called CPART potential bias. So when you run that, it's going to give you sums in terms of your sensitive categories. Here, I decided gender and race were sensitive categories. So turns out I have black Martians, white Martians. There's one male Asian Martian, but there weren't any female Asian Martians. There's also a male Plutonian Martian and a male purple Martian and white Martians. And then if I look at my pathological samples, I guess people also get pneumonia on Mars. We've got a lot of black Martians and white Martians, but very few Venusian Martians, no Native American Martians, no Latino Martians. So this is kind of a not so balanced data set, I would assume, because I would assume there's more than one Asian Martian. Then again, there may not have been that many Asians who went to Mars in the future. I'm not sure. This is all hypothetical. So we see that perhaps we have a not so balanced data set, but that's only a part of the problem, right? When we think about bias, we want to ask ourselves whether those images are different in some way that the computer will be able to see. So one way to ask ourselves about that that's really important is, let's think about the image quality and whether we would have different image qualities. So I'm going to use image resolution as a surrogate for image quality. Whatever you think image quality is probably depends a lot on the kind of imaging you're looking at. For example, if you're looking at mammography, you're going to worry about the breast compression. But here, we're just going to look at the resolution. And again, we'll use a function from cleanX, image quality by size. Okay, so what this here does is it takes the image, it reads it, and then it assigns a quality score unless it can't find the image, in which it assigns a quality score of 0. Okay, so now I make a sort of sum of all my black Martian quality scores and divide by the number of black Martians. And that gives me an average quality score for black Martians. And I do the same for whites. And it turns out they're pretty close. But as you know, an average doesn't tell you a lot about a distribution. So it could be possible that we have either some very high quality, very high resolution images for a few tiny group of black Martians and the rest have low quality, or we have some kind of data mistake where actually most of the black Martians, if not all, actually had low quality images, and we just, for some reason misfiled one super high quality image. I mean, there are a lot of reasons this could be. So we want to look at a distribution. right? We want to just peek at that histogram and see that the distributions are sort of comparable, and they are. Okay, so for black and white Martians, we have kind of comparable distributions, similar quality by the surrogate I used. We can feel pretty comfortable about this kind of difference, although our data set might lack diversity depending on the demographics of Mars in the future. However, on planet Earth, right now, things are quite different. If you are of lower socioeconomic status, which tends to somewhat correlate with race and ethnicity, depending on where you are much more likely to get lower quality imaging. That starts with the machines themselves, right? If you go to a broke safety net hospital, they will have lower quality machines than the machines they have in a private hospital, which serves well-to-do people. That private hospital, by the way, will also probably have higher quality staff, more educated and qualified staff, and just more staff, period. So there may be some differences in not only the images, but the reading of them. So we have to be very careful not to encode bias against people who have already less access to high quality radiology. I hope that cleanX will help you in not encoding bias in your radiology or medical imaging AI. Looking at bias is just one of the many things you can do with cleanX. I'm here on my GitHub page to show you around a little bit more. If you come to the GitHub page, you can read about our license, our documentation, the requirements, and also check out the documentation on the wiki, where there is special documentation for medical professionals.